Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I'm your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we take a look at the current energies, we incorporate your comments and questions live, and we literally go as guided. We listen to the unseen, our soul source connection, and we go as guided. And this is a very interesting continuation, if you will, and I'm going to explain why. However, we're building off of last week, and we're building off of the show from last week, and so you're going to see how everything is interwoven and continues. Welcome, Olivia. Welcome, Kelly Marie. And as you are joining us from around the globe, please put in the comments that you're say hello and continue to comment throughout the show so we can incorporate your comments and questions live. So let's jump into this. I want to just bring in this continuation. You're going to see how we're looping. And I'm going to utilize, it's Pam Youngin's North Point Journal. She's an astrologer, amazing astrologer. And she says, we continue to work with the Jupiter-Pluto square for the next week or more, with its effects now being activated by Mars in Leo, the red planet that was exactly opposite Pluto on Saturday, May 20th, and will be precisely square, that's a frictional aspect, square, Jupiter on Monday, May 22nd. So all of this was happening before, at the beginning of this week, end of last week, beginning of this week. The T-square that we were talking about last week, this fixed T-square configuration formed by these three planets, Jupiter, Pluto, and Mars, challenges us to move beyond places where we may have resisted change and to uncover and dismantle patterns that have tied our self-confidence to whether or not we are appreciated or approved by others. We're really being called to surrender these masks, labels, identities, beliefs, titles, expectations. It's about emptying the vessel, really, truly emptying your vessel. And then she goes on to say, we may also find long-held beliefs being questioned now, especially those that we feel passionately attached to. There is a new level of neutrality that is being asked of us so that we might rise above human dramas, become more aligned with our soul, and allow the divine self to guide us. We are ending the patriarchal Piscean era is over. That is mental. It's a mental, it's ego, mind, personality. And so we're being asked to surrender the ego, mind, personality to the soul, to the divine feminine, to the matriarchal rule, to the Aquarian rule. And so she goes on to say, as such, we will want to be very aware of any sense of urgency about stating a truth or taking an action now, since oftentimes that compelling urgency is indicating a pattern of behavior or belief that is ready and needs to be transmuted. So in essence, respond, don't react. Don't rush to an opinion, to a judgment. And you're going to see there's a beautiful quote that Source gave me, and it said, opinions need not matter, for the truth speaks for itself. So judgment, opinion. When we're in judgment and opinion, it's a lower octave. It's a lower frequency. It is an ego, mind, personality construct. That's where it originates. And thus, we're giving our opinion and we're judging things. We're not using discernment. We're not listening to our soul source connection. We're not seeing through and beyond things. We're staying on the surface. Well, that's easy. And you know, the way they said it to me, that's cheap. That's easy. That doesn't require anything of us. It's just cheap and easy. And thus, opinions need not matter, for the truth speaks for itself. The truth is. And so where Pam Youngin's here with the North Point Journal is talking about this thing about that, you know, like stating a truth, air quotes, not the truth. The truth speaks for itself. So, Olivia is adding, being appreciated by others has been a big hang up. Exactly, because we all look, right? We all operate where acceptance and self-worth, self-value, all of these different, and self-love, all of these things, and we typically, a lot of the times, humans look outwardly as opposed to inwardly for those things. And I'm going to do a show on this because I was speaking with my mom about this and everything. And I said, we hear this idiom and this statement about love yourself, love yourself. Well, in that kind of broad spectrum, it's like such a vast ocean, right? It's this love yourself. Well, the understanding of that, or the not understanding of that, it's like you're swimming in this massively vast ocean and you don't understand, what does that really mean? And so what the unseen guided me to do, is to add these qualifiers. Love yourself enough to choose differently, to make a different choice, or love yourself more than the moment, more than what you're being presented with. When it's love yourself enough, love yourself more, these demarcations, these qualifiers allow you to kind of bring it into a sizable understanding so that we can accept it, we can deal with it. Because to just say blanketly love yourself, it's too nebulous, it's too big, it's too vast. And so we need to bring these qualifiers in so that we can actually put it in context. Love yourself enough to not make that choice again. Love yourself more so that you will place yourself first, or where you may have been harming yourself or putting yourself last, or looking, as Olivia was stating this, being appreciated by others. Well, love yourself enough to not do that, to recognize, I don't need that. I just need to love myself enough. And you're going to see how this plays in, because it's our hexagram that we're working with today is hexagram 34, and it's great power. And in that, they said to us, in this great power, it's this great vigor, this great power, and great power meaning internal. It's not an external. It's not Mars. It's not patriarchal. It's matriarchal. It's internal. And then they're saying this amassing greatness. So it's great power, amassing greatness. And the greatness, again, is internal. It's internal wisdom. So we're going to play with this. They're playing with us. And in the most beautiful way. The unseen is saying this is a continuation from last week, because we're still dealing with this epic T-square. We're still dealing with the first eclipses of 2023. So we're in the shadow, and really not even with the T-square, we're right in the prime of it. And so let's go to the main energies, actually the astro influences, and you're going to see why these are all continuing. And welcome, Ava, joining us from Denmark. I just love that everyone's from all over the world. It's just so beautiful. So astrological influences, and they're saying great power, advance. So when you look at the fact that on May 16th, Jupiter enters Taurus at 0 degrees, and remember these anaretic degrees of 29 and 0. They are the most powerful 2 degrees of each sign, of each of the 30 degrees within each sign. Then on the 19th of May, the new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees, so just approaching that anaretic. Then you've got on May 20th, we have Mars enter Leo at 0 degrees. Mars, action, the way we take action. And Leo, our sun, fire, these fire elements. So Mars enters Leo. And in a sense, I believe it's home sign. I have to look and see, but there's this double amplification of fire and action. Well, also on May 20th is the fixed T-square, that Jupiter, Mars, Pluto fixed T-square that we're all dealing with. It's like an earthquake. It's like the tectonic plates and everything. Here's this friction, and the square is friction. And it needs a release. So because it's going to shift us, something's going to change. And like with the tectonic plates, they're pushing up against one another until one of them or something moves and they shift up over the other. Jupiter is at the base of this T-square. And so it is the great benefactor. It expands and amplifies things. Pluto is in Aquarius. It's wanting this newness. It is the transformation. Pluto represents transformation, and it's representing, again, revolution. It's representing what's been hidden within ourselves, within our societies, within our businesses, within our institutions, within our governments, what's been hidden, and thereby we're going to bring it up and out into the light because we've got to transmute it. We've got to cleanse it. We got to empty the vessel. We got to clean it out so as to begin anew. And then lastly, also on the 21st, the sun enters Gemini. And so again, air and the way we communicate, the divine Castor and Pollux, the divine twins, divine aspects. So we have this all going on. She's talking about we're in the continuation. She, Pam Youngans with North Point Journal, is talking about that we're in this because it's about where are we releasing and need to release opinion, judgment, aspects of ourselves so as to receive a higher octave of ourselves. Well, then let's look at the main energies that we're working with. So we're looking at the 5 all month, nourished while waiting, patience. So it's as if we know all of these things, and we know these things are present. These things meaning the opportunity change. Remember, it is about the fact that change, our soul agreed, the change is present. The change is here. That is not up for discussion. What is up for discussion is how you interact with this fixed change, a fixed T-square, because the change is not up for debate. It's just how. How do we choose to walk through it and interact with it? Embrace it, push back against it, try to hide and run from it, or run to it, towards it. Today being the 24th, it's about return, go back. And I want to just for a moment talk to you about hexagram 24. It's known as return. Its action is to go back. Its hidden influence is receptive. It's the divine feminine, receptive, yield. Its underlining cause is 44, coming to meet and encounter. It's coming to meet and encounter your future self, your soul self. Because for 2,000 plus years, we've been dealing with our ego self, our personality self, our mind self. And the soul, the divine feminine, the soul aspect of ourselves, in essence, has taken a back seat. Rarely, I mean, many, many millions of people don't even believe that it has any bearing. The soul. It's something nebulous. It's something that is airy-fairy. It's something that doesn't really exist, or it exists, but I don't interact and understand it. I don't listen to it. And so for 2,000 plus years, it's taken a back seat. Well, hexagram 24 return says, here's the divine feminine, the receptive force, and its underlining cause is 44, coming to meet and encounter. We're returning. We're going back to where we began, but an octave higher. We're coming back to our soul source connection, to lead with our souls. In order to do that in the most empowering way, we need to empty our vessel. And so, sorry about that. Let me just bring this up. There we go. So with hexagram 24, and I'll come back to that in a minute, it says sometimes, this is from Carrie Owen at Cafe Au Sol, sometimes we need to stop and go back. This can arise when we have taken an improper course or the wrong path and need to return to where we started. We can see in our individual lives and the world as a whole, where have we taken an improper course or a wrong path? And wrong path mean, because there's never really a wrong path. It just means there's higher and lower octaves. There's higher and lower choices. So because each thing is going to lead, all roads lead to Rome. That was from one of the previous shows. So, but it's bringing to our attention, where have I made improper course choices, taken a lesser path, and it's time to relinquish that. It was purposeful. However, now it's time to relinquish it so that we can move on, move forward, move into the new. Um, Other times, she's talking about other times we can get so far away from who we really are that return is necessary to reconnect with the core part of us that has remained unchanged over time. That core part of us that has remained unchanged over time is the soul. The soul is pure. The soul is true north. The soul is divine. It remains unchanged over time because its core essence is love, is purity, is goodness. It cannot be anything other than that. And so it's saying to us, let us return to this. Let us return to that aspect of ourselves, the divine feminine, that speaks to this, that nourishes, that encourages, that guides, that gives birth to things, manifestations, the purity of things, the purity of intention, the purity of thought. It says the hidden influence of the receptive shows a need for an inner opening, while the cause of past condition was one of focusing on encountering others. It was external. The past was external. This goes to Olivia's comment. This appreciation by others. That's an external act. So we were there focusing on this external encounter or encounters. After a time of splitting apart, and remember, we've been talking, the unseen has been talking to us about this hexagram 23, this splitting apart, pulling away, the hexagram 18, decay, repairing what's spoiled. We got to extrapolate this goo, the tiger's goo, the shadow, because we're meant to purify the divine masculine and the divine feminine, the light and the void. It's the purity of them. So we're returning to the purity of the light and the void. We're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So after a time of splitting apart, a return to the self to develop authenticity is necessary. You are at a turning point in this situation, and progress is often marked by a slow return to original sincerity. It may seem like you are not moving forward, although progress is still occurring. This is because by returning, you reconnect with your true path. This can be a time to examine your intentions. A disconnect may be occurring where you seek a specific outcome yet experience something different. Examine your commitment to the situation and whether or not it truly serves you. There is a need to align intention and commitment with the truth of what you are truly capable of achieving. So see again, it's this return and this reconnection to the truth. The truth is the purity of your soul, is your soul source connection. That's the truth. Anything shy of that is a mental construct and typically rooted and based in fear, lack. There's not enough, so I have to compete for this. It won't happen, so I won't go after it. All of these lower octave ego mind personality thoughts, actions, beliefs, stories, labels, masks. That's the part we're going to repair because it's spoiled. It's in decay. We're so far beyond it. What's to come is so far beyond it. It's so advanced. And so we return. So this is where that's coming in. So let me go back to the main energies and pick up, because hexagram 24 is there. 7, it's a 7-year, all year long. And it's about correct discipline, having everything you need. And remember, too, 7 is the foundation of God's word. It's about the fulfillment, the completion, the perfection of this promise, of what's to come, of what is present. It's already here. So it's to recognize that it's already here. Align with it now. And you're going to see how um, I don't want to give away the story here yet, just yet. I was going to divert. Okay. 18 is hexagram 18 is what it all adds up to. And so, and there's your decay and remedy. We're going to decay and remedy. We're going to remedy what's decayed. And then it becomes a 9. And 9 is about small restraint, surrender. It's about taking It's about taking the baby steps. Take each step. Do not become overwhelmed. You do not need to become overwhelmed. It's like someone says to you, go save the world. And when you think about, it's like, love yourself. In the vast ocean, it's too big. Save the world, it's too big. However, with that hexagram 9, that small restraint, we can take bite-sized pieces. Okay, save the world. Okay, soul. Okay, source. Okay, soul source connection. Okay, angels. Okay, guides. What's my first step? What's my next step? And you just keep taking each step as it comes. You do not need to become overwhelmed with the greater aspect of the whole. Just bite-sized steps. It is the hermit with the lantern. In the tarot, the hermit, in the lantern of the hermit, is the star. It's the star card in the tarot. So the star is illuminating the path of the hermit, so as to see. It's not a Klug light. It's not like it's a floodlight, a Klug light that's illuminating the entire story. It's illuminating the path before you. It's just the next step or two or three. And then you ask again, okay, what's next? And at the end of it, you'll be able to look back and go, wow, I saved the world. Wow, I effectuated the outcome of what I knew my soul wanted me to do. It'll be tangible. You'll see it. You'll feel it. You'll know it. It's just about taking the next steps. It's not being overcome with the greater anxiety or burden, if you will, because it's not a burden, but it's an opportunity. However, that may be the way you're experiencing it. So remove that and just take the next, stay focused on the next steps. Um, we are maintaining, because we're continuing, so we're maintaining our mantra, which is change realigns me with abundance. Change realigns me with abundance. Just keep imploring it. Keep telling yourself. Put this image up. It's in the show threads from last week. I'm going to put it up again because we're continuing with the fact, because what is this? It is about epic change. The T square, the eclipses, this moment in time, it's all about change. And so change realigns me with abundance. Change isn't going to knock you unless you're just really cleaving to the past, not surrendering. And the surrendering is to your soul, to yourself. It is not an external surrender to someone else's desires, whims, demands, entitlements. The surrender is to your soul. It is your ego, mind, personality surrendering to your soul. And your soul is the higher octave. Your soul is the truth. It knows the way, the path. It's the ego, mind, personality that'll deviate and run all over the place and lead you astray and delay you and beg, barter, steal, negotiate. That's the ego, mind, personality. The soul just sits there. They're like this. The soul just sits back and it's like, except now the soul isn't sitting back and waiting so much. The soul is ever present. The soul is knocking and speaking more loudly because it's time. It's time for this epic change. And that was the first thing. Let me bring this in now. So remember from last week, here's the beautiful image of the golden apple and the all-seeing owl and that 20/2. And Debbie with Endless Essences. And she said, did you intend that to be a fraction? Because of course it becomes a 1. The 20, it's divisible. And of course it becomes a 10 and the 10 becomes a 1. And it denotes, obviously the 1 denotes new beginnings. And I said, it's funny, that's not the way they gave it to me, and yet it's perfectly on point because what they're saying to us is 20, this higher, it's contemplation, overview. It is a higher octave. It is a higher vantage point. It is seeing things from a higher source, a higher place. The 2 is receptive. It is the divine feminine. The 0 represents source, God's source, the all that is. However you wish to identify and label with this higher power, higher higher hand, the master weaver, the host. However you want, you can see the two and the zero, divine feminine and the divine masculine, the great mother, the great father, together in harmony with one another, which is a higher octave. It's also interesting when you stop to see how they made it appear, so the two, they made it appear as though the two, the divine feminine, had fallen from grace. But that's not true. It was simply a moment where they chose to obscure, divine masculine, chose to redefine her, malign her, diminish her. Because prior to that time and age, the divine feminine, the great mother, was revered. She was she was all encompassing. She was equal to. And so this is the return. This is where we're coming back to. Remember too, it's not about retribution. It's about harmony, equanimity, balance, all of this beauty. So yeah, Kelly Maria is saying breathe and step, breathe and release. Exactly. And breath is so important. So here we are. We've got this 20 over 2, meaning choosing the higher path. Here's the Two of Wands again. It's from the Gilded Tarot Royale, illustrated by Cyril Marchetti and published by Llewellyn under their copyright. Here is that beautiful white stag representing the divine. And remember, it is focused, it is headed towards the path of righteousness, towards the absolute abundance of the verdant green meadow, the mountains, the sun and the moon and the skies and the three birds in the sky and everything. It's saying, come this way. Because when you then see to the left, that path to the left just kind of ends, it disappears. And that's what we've been talking about with the trains. That train comes in and dead ends. It's done. It's over. However, when you cross the platform and you choose the other train, that train is taking off. It's the same with these two paths. And so they're saying to us with this, I'm sharing all of this as the build-up, um, because what they said to us, the first thing was having chosen, and then they said the Two of Wands. So you've made a choice. Having chosen, do not turn back. You are at the forefront of change, epic change. So, having chosen this path of righteousness, having chosen to listen to your soul source connection, to go as guided, having chosen to empty your vessel, having chosen to repair what's spoiled, to lay down the masks, the labels, the identities, to cleanse yourself, having chosen, you've got the golden ticket. Having chosen that I do in fact have the golden ticket, and you're going to see how the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 plays out here in a moment, and the new adventure awaits. So, having chosen, do not turn back. Whatever you do, no matter how hard it appears, no matter what it looks like on the world stage, do not turn back. You are at the forefront of change, epic change. And I had a client reading yesterday, and there was this point of remembering teacher, student, student, teacher. Don't think for a second that other people aren't watching your example. You may be a beacon of light to many people and never realize it, never even know that you're doing it. Because, of course, that's not what you're focused on. What you're focused on is making choices, present, being conscious and present, making these choices, and then going about effectuating them, taking the necessary steps, the necessary actions, breaking it all down, emptying the vessel, doing all these things. While others are standing on the sidelines, maybe, or are standing right next to you and watching. So just take in as much as we receive from others, students, we receive from others, we are also teachers and we demonstrate. And that is very powerful and it's very humbling because, again, what you want for yourself, you want for others. And yet we may not be, again, we may not be consciously aware that they're watching. So, with that, now I'm going to move into this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 because great power, new adventure awaits. And this amassing greatness. And you're going to see how this plays into hexagram 34. So the 0, 1, 2, 34, 3, 4 at the end. And what was interesting is I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4. And they said, no, 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 no. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I had that aha bulb moment. The light bulb goes on. And it's Matthew 19:23 through 30. And it says, with God, all things are possible. The 0 begins and complements, is added to, but it begins the universe. It begins the numeric values, the numbers. And it may be added to any number. And so their point here is very clear that with and through, again, God, source, higher, master weaver, divine feminine, the great mother, however you wish to incorporate God, source, it's through that all things are possible, which is saying to us through the soul, not man, woman, kind, humankind, but through, so not through ego, mind, personality, but through the soul, through source, all things are possible. Begin there. So if we're thinking, how do I do this? How do I do this? We're in the wrong, it's like you're at the wrong venue. And again, we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We absolutely need, want, and will have a healthy ego, mind, personality, a divine masculine attributes. What we are being shown is to, in essence, change venues, meaning go to your soul first. 0, soul source connection, source. Go there first. And the soul will guide you. The soul will lead you and tell you. You'll know it, a knowing, a feeling, a gut reaction. You'll know. It's a knowing. This is my next step. Now your mind, your ego, mind, personality might immediately kick in. Fear, wah, 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 wah. And all you need to do is say, I understand, but that's the old way. The new way is that I listen to my soul, and having made the choice and choices, I don't turn back, and I continue to listen to my soul because it is the truth. It is the higher octave of me. And thereby I choose to surrender. I choose to use discernment, not judgment and opinion. I'm choosing a higher octave, a higher way. And thereby it leads us, because the second thing they said is it delivers us. Deliverance. All that you've come to expect is gets delivered. And then they said, see it in your mind's eye. So it's to know that our deliverance is at hand. All that we've come to expect, higher octave, not ego, higher octave, the purity of ourselves, the purity, it's when our soul is so alive, it's enthusiasm, we're invigorated. It's like there's a passion about something. And we may have not prior been able to effectuate it. It hasn't come to pass, or we told ourselves we couldn't have it for a myriad of reasons. They're talking about that expectation, the expectation of what's your soul is coming through your soul, not your ego, mind, personality. That gets delivered. That's what we're talking about. So, as we continue on, so Lorna is saying, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yes, exactly. And no matter what religion and no matter your faith, because remember, religion is about a belief in a higher power, a higher source. So whatever method or means or religion that comes through, or simply your spirituality, your faith, your belief, whatever the vehicle that connects you to your soul source connection, that's where you place your faith, your trust, your focus, and you listen, and then you go as guided. So, um, not to get lost here because from last week, time to choose. They're really giving us a demarcation that it's time to choose abundance, alignment, advance. So, and this was very interesting. I was debating whether I was going to, but we're going to go right into it. So they gave me this as a number 5. So it's denoting change. So this is where this overriding theme, because what they're saying to us is like the sands, like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. Because we're ending an era, an a time frame, and we're returning to great power. New adventure awaits. And thereby, I should be up on the screen. Olivia's indicating that she's asking, did you disappear? Poof, I'm in the new. Um, I should be up on your screens. You can let me know in the comments. It's showing that I am. So, um, because what we're waiting for is we're amassing greatness. It's great power. So let's move into hexagram 34. And this is where it's about great power. Its action is to invigorate. Its hidden influence is 43, determination, breakthrough. And here's the beauty of this. Its underlining cause is 20, contemplation, view, higher view. There's that 20 over 2, that eternal wisdom, the all-seeing owl, the golden apple, all of this beauty. And see, look at what just happened. Everything's purposeful, right? Olivia says, did you disappear? And then everyone's coming back, commenting and saying, you're back, you're back, you're back. Now think about that in representation of what we're talking about. We go away, the old us goes away, and the new us reappears. The hourglass, the sands run out, the old is gone, and then we turn it upside down, we turn it over, and it returns, and it begins a new time. This is what we're talking about. This is the construct of what we're talking about. And this is a beautiful quote that goes along with hexagram 34, with great power. And it says, when you are steadfast in your power, you cannot be thrown from your center. Steadfast in your power. That is not external power. That is not force, external force. It is not a physical force that they are talking about. Steadfast in your power, you cannot be thrown from your center, is internal force, your internal connection to source. When you are steadfast in that connection, in that soul source connection, you cannot be thrown from your center. It's impossible. Why? Because you'll see through the illusions. You will go inside first to your soul. What is this? And you'll hear an answer. How may I respond? What am I to do? However, the minute it's a thought upstairs, it's an ego mind personality, you're off your center because you've lost the plot. You're now in the wrong venue. So there's that beautiful quote. So your centeredness. And it doesn't, people often think that we are only centered like that if we're in a state of meditation. And yes, that is a beautiful primary way to connect and to center, to ground, to expand, to receive, to listen and receive. However, it's to, in our active waking state, it's to take that state of grace, of receptivity, of receiving, and to utilize that operating system. Go to it, not the other. Source, not ego, mind, personality. So here we are. And it says, the creative moves below the thunder in an image of one who has achieved great power, but does not move until certain that events call for movement. So see here again, this is about discernment and grace and knowing and being centered and grounded and connected, because it knows not to react. It knows not to be impulsive. It knows, and we will then know, see, because it may say, not yet, hold on. And what happens? We have to learn that beautiful word, patience. We have to deal with our impatience. And I, for one, have certainly, I don't want to use the word mastered my patience because that's not true. However, I have been doing a master's course on patience. And so for everyone, it is one of our great opportunities. When to advance, when to hold. Because they said, even while you know you're in a position of superiority, don't be arrogant or pushy. So again, positions of power, whether it's government, businesses, institutions, look at these world leaders, wealthiest people on the planet, these positions of power, of superiority in a sense, in an illusion way, meaning external way. And it's, don't be arrogant and pushy, because what happens? It's a turnoff. However, when you're in a position of power and authority, you're managing people, you're the president, prime minister of countries, you're the president of or CEO, founder of a company. When you act with grace and humility and goodness and kindness, you endear people to you. They want for you as you want for them. It's very simple. And that is a higher octave choice. Anything less than that is a lower octave choice. It's an old choice. It is a dead end path choice because it's not going to fly in the new. In the new age of the Aquarian age and for the people and everything in our universe in terms of Earth and how we exist and operate and experience the divine. Businesses, governments, institutions, groups, they are all made up of and exist because of people, humans, souls. So it's changed. So that's been true. What's changing is this old way of dividing and diminishing and, obscuring and being ruthless and arrogant and it's over. It may not look like it. However it is, do not turn back. So, because it's number 3 here, they said, the hands of fate turn. And I saw the image of clock hands. So for anybody listening that's much younger, there are clocks that have hands on them. They're not all digital. And thereby, They're saying the hands of fate turn, and it's the tick, 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 tick of the clock hands. The bell of destiny tolls, and I heard the word trumpets. And then they said a new reality emerges. So there is this change, this time that is changing. She goes on to say, Cafe au Sol, Carrie Hone, Cafe au Sol, when exerting force, we find resistance, but power shows a willingness to adapt with being centered and firm. Therefore, the power of great is activated for those who know that the greatest strength, pardon me, let me redo that. Therefore, the power of the great is activated for those who know that the greatest strength is the ability to overcome themselves and their insecurities. Exactly. This is where we're emptying our vessels. We are choosing to lay these things down, to surrender to our soul, to ourselves, cleanse it all out. Because those that do that know that that's where the power of the greatness lies. That's where the success is. It's in the ability to overcome themselves and their insecurities. Persisting in this outlook will lead to success. The hidden influence of determination shows that a breakthrough in thinking has changed a landscape of obstacles into opportunities to prove the strength of your inner character. The underlying cause of contemplation shows that after a period of surveying the playing field, you are ready to move forward. Having chosen, do not turn back. Invigorate your sense of resolve because success is in sight. They're saying to you because it's going to be delivered. This change, you're at the forefront of this epic change. It's there. It's coming. It's arriving. It has arrived. It's going to effectuate itself. And it demonstrates, it proves to yourself the strength of your character, your ability to say, I can do that, and I will do that, and I have done that. It's the strength, the depth and the strength of your character, your choice. The underlining, by restraining emotions and instincts, the power of the great is similar to the concentration of force necessary to chop a block of wood with one's hand. So they're aligning everything, their will, their source, their energy, to karate chop, if you will, this block of wood with the hand. One remains calm and focused. The inner certainty of knowing that the hand will go through the wood without any doubt allows it to happen. Align the intention to succeed with the certainty that you will, and nothing can stop you. Again, it's utilizing the ego, mind, personality in service, in action to your soul. It's not the other way around. And it's not absent the soul. Then you're just running amok. It's the ego, mind, personality running amok. It's disconnected. It's discordant. It's disconnected from the soul. However, when you're leading with the soul, with soul source connection, and you align ego, mind, personality in service to that, it's great power. It's amassing greatness. It's experiencing that energy and that opportunity in real time. And it's magical. It really is magical. Let me bring up the other quote. Because without rightness, there can be no greatness. It will crumble upon its own foundation. So without rightness, there can be no greatness. And that's powerful. It's a powerful truth. And they're speaking of this. And so they're saying number 4, which is foundational. Stay the course. Stay steady. Long-held dreams become the new reality. So these long-held dreams, we may visualize them and see them in our mind's eye and all of this, i.e. a mental construct. However, these long-held dreams originate from the soul. The dreams come through the soul, through spirit, through the unseen. It comes through us. And then the mind picks it up. The mind picks up the knowing, the feeling, the sensations. the desires. And then it starts thinking and manifesting and creating. And so it's this working together. So they're number 4, stay the course, stay steady. Long held dreams become the new reality. And so let me just finish up with this. They said, the master said, the meaning of the power of the great shows itself in the fact that one pauses. It is another aspect of movement and stillness, where one steadfast in te is never thrown from their center when confronting events. This is the constant virtue that ensures that you will act benevolently. So this is the mysterious virtue, or the constant virtue, pardon me, that ensures that you will act. Remember, we just talked about how in that state of receptivity, meditation, receptivity, receiving, where we feel all encompassing and expanded and empowered and pure and all of this, it's to stay in that constant virtue that ensures you will act right, in righteousness, rightly. Mysterious virtue is far reaching, but when things turn back, it turns back with them. What cannot be accomplished through force will be fortified through stillness. See, again, if we're in force, external force, it's mental, it's external, it's masculine. Opinions need not matter, for the truth speaks for itself. What cannot be accomplished through force will be fortified through stillness, through knowing, through staying centered, not being knocked off course. Many myths describe a hero, abandoned or separated from the parents and forced to grow up as an ordinary child. You too can feel abandoned and thrown into a world that does not understand you. Heeding a call from within, you embark on a great journey, the hero's journey, and ultimately discover your real identity. Although you travel across dangerous terrains in the journey of a lifetime, once you arrive, you realize that this discovery could have taken place in your own backyard. Yet the actual journey out there had the effect of changing you in here. It opens you to the understanding that your way was only one way. What that is really speaking to and talking about is we come into this world, we're veiled, we forget our divinity, we forget the purity, we forget, in a sense, about the soul. And we go off, and our examples and our interactions are external. Immediately, we're being cared for by our mother, by our parents, by caretakers. And then their external influences, we're being bombarded, meaning that's our initial experiences. And then what happens next is conflict. Why? Because all of a sudden, oh, internally, I can feel that X, Y, or Z, this isn't right. This isn't in alignment with my soul. This isn't my truth. This isn't the truth. And yet we go out externally to prove an internal. See, we want, as Olivia said at the top of the hour, we go out externally. We look to others to prove, to give us what we want and need. But that want and need is internal, which means we already know it to be true. So why are we not giving it to ourselves? That's what this last paragraph, this hero's journey, this coming full circle, this coming home, this return, is about coming back to our soul, coming back to soul source connection. They are driving this message home over and over and over again, because that is what the matriarchal Aquarian age, this golden age, this new age is all about. In everyone that's incarnated on the planet right now, and look at the spectrum from the oldest of the old, they came in years ago, to the newest of the new, being born today. On that spectrum, in percentages, if you will, the souls are on this arc. It's like the bell curve when you're graded on the bell curve. It's like this arc of understanding, of advancement. To what degree, what percentage is your soul and the new souls coming in? They're all about the new because theoretically they're going to be here for the next 70, 80, 90, 100 years plus. And those souls that came in 100 years ago are getting ready to depart. So the part of their soul, the percentage of their soul that had this new advancement shifts. What's on offer, though, is everybody that is here at this moment said they would be here, that they wanted to experience this moment of transition, of change, of transformation, so as to advance. And one of the greatest ways to advance is to experience the divine in human form. Because it's not easy, right? It hasn't always been easy. And yet we're returning to a place where it is. And they're saying the easier, the faster you get to understanding that your soul leads the way, your soul is its connection to source. That is the vehicle, that is the train, that is the golden ticket. And the zero, it starts with the zero. It starts there. Then we progress. That is the greater resonance of this whole moment in time right now. And hexagram 34, great power, new adventure awaits. So just to recap before the close of the hour, with God, all things are possible. It is internal great power. There are new adventures that await. It is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It begins with the 0, and then we advance. It is the golden ticket, because remember, this has been playing out for us. You have the golden ticket. It's to be aware and make a conscious choice. Do you believe you have a golden ticket? Do you believe that the future, that time advances, the arc of destiny is forward? Having made that choice to surrender and lay down the ego, mind, personality, the shadow elements, those parts that have been in decay, lay them down. We've made the choice, because there's the choice. There's the Two of Wands. There's the choice. Then they're saying, and it's time to choose. And what are we choosing? We're choosing the 20 over the 2. We're choosing eternal wisdom, all knowing, all seeing, our soul source connection. We're choosing that. Having chosen, do not turn back, for you are at the forefront of change, epic change. Deliverance and all that you've come to expect gets delivered. See it in your mind's eye. Know it. Be it. The hands of fate turn. It's hands on the clock. The bell of destiny tolls. It's trumpets. A new reality emerges. Stay the course. Stay steady. Long-held dreams become the new reality. And like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. It's not an ending as in uh, end of times, end of life, end of earth, it's an end of times, meaning end of a way, end of an era. And thereby we have a choice, and you can see it. You have a choice to move forward, to advance, to return to a state of purity, grace, goodness, soul source connection, leading the way, this divine feminine, matriarchal rule, golden age. Or you can choose the path that cleaves to the past and that dead ends. It ends because that part does go away. Splitting apart, repairing what's spoiled. And you split apart to regenerate. The decay is to repair what's spoiled. Advance. It's really crazy. It's really exciting. And I hope I am doing justice in explaining it and that you all are receiving it. And that you know that it comes down to each one of us. each one of us comprise. Each one of us is a strand in that ponytail. 8 billion souls on the planet, give or take. It comes down to not that it's going to happen. That's a fait accompli. How it will happen for you. And do you advance or does it end? That's the choices there. So, can't wait to see what's going on next week. Thank you all so much for your presence, your comments, your participation. Everything about you being on this journey is so inspiring, and I adore you for mirroring and reflecting everything about what your soul said it came to do, and that I get to receive that. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all of that. Love you all dearly. We will see you next week.